to do a quick introduction because you will see me again on another panel. I do not have a twin, but we do have a patient in here that does have a twin, so your eyes are not deceiving you if you start to wonder. But my name is Marion Jones. I am originally from Mississippi, but I currently reside in Boston. And next week, I will be relocating to Chicago. So there's a lot of movement going on in my life. I was diagnosed with NMO in November of 2020. So this year will be the 4th year living with this disease. And I was connected with the Samira Foundation probably about a year or two after being diagnosed. And what led me to connect was I have an incredible neurologist, and she said to me, I think you need to be connected with a community. And so I live in Boston. I don't have any family there. I got diagnosed in the height of COVID. And I'm so fortunate that I found the Samira Foundation because there's nothing like living with a disease that you try to explain to other people as best as you can. And unfortunately, it's as if you're speaking a foreign language. And on top of that, you are trying to come to terms with this new life that you are living. And it's difficult. And some days it's very heavy. And so for me, just living with the disease and knowing that unfortunately, I have to work full time so that I can take care of myself and maintain health care insurance and things of that nature. And so battling with that. And so this foundation has been really just an anchor, a support system. You know, some of the individuals in here, this is my first time seeing their face in person. So that's really nice, but I feel like we are this family that's connected. So I'm just very honored and grateful to walk this journey with each of them. And I'm excited for you to hear about their story and how they are not only surviving, but thriving. So thank you. So first, I'm just going to ask each of you to introduce yourself, share your name, where you're from, share a little bit about your diagnosis, and then we'll go from there.
My name is Donna, and I have an NMOSD. I had my first bout of optic neuritis April of 2009. They assumed, off the bat that I had MS. I went for about 4 years with multiple MRIs, blood work, seeing different specialists for different autoimmune disorders. And in June of 2013, they did the NMO blood test, which came back positive. Since then, I've had probably about 10 episodes of optic neuritis, mostly in my left eye. I was on Imuran, which was working, and in 2017, I pretty much had back-to-back optic neuritis in both my left and right eye. So they then switched me to an infusion. So I have been, fortunately, relapse-free since 2017.
Thank you.
Donna, so glad to have you on the panel.
Hello, my name is Kayla Miller. I'm from Michigan, and I have double seronegative NMOSD. It took 7 months for a diagnosis where it was like the brink of COVID in my state, and I was bounced around kind of like a yo-yo. And when I did receive my diagnosis, I also found out that I had longitudinally extensive transverse myelitis. So when it first started, I had my right leg was completely numb when I woke up one morning, and then throughout those months, the numbness was kind of going up me. So I was numb from 3 inches below my breast on down, and then I ended up So I got my diagnosis and then my treatment, and I was able to get some of my feeling back in my stomach. So today I am numb from my waist on down, and I have numb fingertips. I utilize electric wheelchair and also a walker. I'm unable to go far, walk far, but I'm getting there. Today I am able to walk 15 to 20 minutes on the treadmill without, the next day paying for it. So that is a huge achievement for me. It's been a long time coming. It can be frustrating, but I try to stay positive that I will get there. I'll have like a blinged out walking stick or something eventually. I am the ambassador of Michigan with the Samara Foundation. I was able to connect with them when I found the NMO community on Facebook. And I also last year took part in, it was Horizon Therapeutics, but it is now Amgen, their NMOSD Won't Stop Me campaign. I was able to last year meet other patients with my disorder for my very first time, which is very moving because you instantly feel a connection with them and you can relate. So I have been relapse free for almost 2 years come August, which is awesome. And there's a bit of stigma on this, but I use medical cannabis to assist with my chronic pain that I have. And that is it.
Very good, thank you. Hi, my name is Hannah. I have MOG antibody disease. I started having my first symptoms in July of 2022. Not your typical symptoms. I went to the ER with a migraine. Next thing I know, I have a neurologist kind of plucking at my thumb, and then I have 6 neurologists all around me. They knew something was wrong instantly. Several stints in and out of the hospital before I was finally diagnosed in December of 2022 with MOG antibody disease. I'm quite stubborn as a patient, so it took a lot of different treatments for me to find the one that was right for me. I did have some blindness in my right eye, about 80% loss. Eventually, I started plasmapheresis. I did IVIG, long-term steroids, which was awesome and terrible at the same time. And then eventually I decided to enter a clinical trial, which I have now been on for going on a year. I've been relapse-free and stable and kind of loving the journey, even though it was really tough for me at first.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Can you all hear me? All right, perfect. So I just want to, segue. I heard you talk about, your experiences, the diagnosis, some of you as early as 2013 and 2017 being diagnosed. So you've been living with this for quite some time. And I know that you can relate to being in the doctor's office more than you would desire, right? It's a part of just life for us. So tell me about your experience being in the doctor's office. How do you, kind of paint that picture for us? How are you communicating with your doctor? How are you preparing yourself for those appointments? And what are you doing the days before you've had the MRI? And if you're like me, you've gotten on the portal and you've started to try and decipher some of the medical jargon that's there, so that you can prepare yourself for the conversation with your neurologist, your doctor. Paint that picture for us. And also think about the individuals who are here, the newly diagnosed patients, and what would you share about that experience with your doctors?
I think, as the physicians spoke about earlier, I think the main thing I would tell somebody newly diagnosed is, the Googling. The minute you're diagnosed with something like that, especially something like this that you've never heard of before, when you Google that and you get symptoms from minor to very major, it's overwhelming, because obviously you're going to assume I'm going to have every one of those. I feel like I've been fortunate in only having optic neuritis. When I hear other stories or see other stories, especially like through Facebook with Sumaira. So, it can make you thankful, but it's scary when you see the things that you could have at some point, in your life. So that would be my main thing to anybody that is newly diagnosed. For me as well, I think when you look at the things that you could have, as far as paralysis and stuff, physical fitness has been real important in my life, as, thinking same thing. Maybe someday I'm not going to be able to do it, so I'm going to get out there and get to the gym every day and do everything that I can to keep myself healthy in that way. It's tricky when you go to the doctor. I think the same thing, because I have been in an infusion room, 20, 25 times. I've never encountered anybody else that has NMO there. I've met, up until today, 2 other people that have it. So the minute you start talking about anything, it's just always like all the testing and everything they do, it's always, how does your MS affect you? you know, which gets a little frustrating because I don't have that. You know, maybe I am one of, I don't know, maybe one of the only people that they have there that has that, but I would like to have it to be a little more inclusive in the disease that I have. So I think that's tricky when you're dealing with doctors. You know, even just to go into like a new doctor for a physical, and the minute you mention that, it just goes right over their head because they have no idea what it is. Well, how are you going to treat anything else for me, not knowing, you know, like do some research, like learn about what I have, you know? So I guess that would be my advice, you know, the Googling, physical fitness, and, you know, maybe trying to make sure you're with a physician that understands exactly what you have and is going to treat every aspect of your life in regard to that. Thank you.
For me, so I'm from a small town in Michigan, and so for me, it's kind of like I have to prep. I've always had to prep, like bring a binder with me. It has all my MRIs on my desk, all of my stuff printed out, and I try to stay as organized as possible, and kind of school my doctor on what I have going on, what I know about it, and that way I can advocate for myself. Most of the doctors I've been to, besides my neuro, they are not familiar with NMOSD, and so I have a printout, like a definition of it, and I've given it to my doctors before to provide them with information, and that way my tribe knows what I'm talking about, because at the end of the day, you get to pick who your doctors are, and you want to make sure that you also have a good relationship with whether it's neuro or your regular, you know, doctor, primary care practitioner. Staying organized has, I think, really helped when I've had to when I have a relapse and I end up at the ER and I come in with a binder and I have everything with me. I feel like I am treated more like this girl is serious. She has something going on. She understands what she has going on, and I am able then. Well, I usually get ambulance downstate. It's a 4-hour drive when I've had a relapse. But it gets the ball moving quicker than sitting there in a room and you're waiting for, you know, something to happen. So for me, staying organized, but having, you know, a med log. I keep, you know, a list of all my medications, what doctor, for what. I also, besides double seronegative NMOSD, I also have lymphedema. So I have some additional stuff that goes on. We have an infusion center at my hospital, so I am very lucky to not have to travel far because, unfortunately, because I'm numb from the waist on down, I can no longer drive. So having to find transportation and rely on others to get you to A to B, it's a big deal. So having my infusion center, some of them I went to school with, actually, so it's kind of like I'm going to hang out with you for 6 hours today, hey? But I bring in all my information with them so they understand what I have as well. Along with my TSF family, I've taken in some like brochures that we had, so that way if someone else is diagnosed with NMOSD or MOGAD, they can hopefully, the doctor can give that to them and they can find out that they are not the only one, and that way they're not alone.
As mentioned, I'm on a clinical trial, so I spend a lot of time at the hospital. I think one of the biggest parts of that is making sure that you trust your team, you enjoy being around your team, and hopefully my boss never sees this, but even on my short clinical trial days, I said, oh, sorry, I'm gonna be out of work all day. I really enjoy the people that I get to work with, from Dr. Kunchok, Dr. Rensel. I have a great clinical nurse named Brian. It's a really good team. I think being in the right mindset when you go to the hospital, and really being your own advocate in your illness is the most important thing. Making sure that you have found the right people, the right support. It may not always be close to where you are, and sometimes it might be right in your backyard. For me, I started in the hospitals and then eventually reached out to doctors in different states because it just didn't feel like the resources were near me. Turns out it was right in my backyard the whole time. So eventually you get where you're supposed to be.
Thank you. So I know that we are at time, but I just want to ask one or two of you to share as we end this panel. What gift have you gained from this diagnosis that you can share with others? Because I believe, even though some of us have never had one-on-one conversations, I believe just from this experience we've shared together that there's a gift that each of us gains. So I'd like to know, what gift have you gained? And just one or two of you, feel free, to share. Kayla, you have this big spark and smile, so I'll let you go ahead and go first.
I feel, even though I've lost some stuff, so like I'm unable to drive, I'm numb from my waist on down, I have gained a whole another family. And it has been wonderful that you can, just a message away, someone, I instantly feel, you know, like I'm gravitated toward you because we have similar stuff. Um, I'm incredibly thankful for um, all of the organizations that have helped me through my journey that I have started, and I'm thankful for the community, also for myself during my diagnosis, since everything, um, like in my town, the community came together, Habitat for Humanity and Lions Club, and they built my wheelchair ramp. I have gained so much friends and family along the way that I am incredibly thankful for, um, because I know that I am not alone. I am able to patients learn so much off of each other and so much information that it helps both of us be a better advocate and understand our bodies the most. Because if you are able to understand what you have going on, you can then advocate for yourself better.
Thank you. Is there one other? So I will say this is the end, unfortunately, of this panel. I always like talking to patients and feel like we're sitting on a couch, just, you know, getting to know and exploring the things that we've gone through on this journey. But I want to say thank you for each of you for being so courageous and for sharing your story and for being an inspiration to others out in this rare disease community, and continue to fight, continue to push yourself, because there's even more within you that you can tap into to help you along the way. So just one more round of applause for our patient panel.